Hi, everyone, and welcome. I am Yvonne Heath of Love Your Life to Death, and I am here today with my dear, wonderful friend, Calista Anderson. Hello, Calista.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I am delighted that you are here, and we are having this conversation to celebrate National Grief Awareness Day. And when I say celebrate, people think, do you want to celebrate grief? What I am celebrating is the fact that we're having these conversations, right? Because the more we talk about, plan, and prepare for grief and normalize these conversations, the better we will be able to navigate through when grief arrives. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. Yes, the
Yes.
more we normalize the topic of grief, the more it will not become a quote unquote better experience, but the less barriers we will experience to healing, so to speak.
Absolutely. And one of the reasons I reached out to you, Calista, because, well, first of all, you're quite fabulous. And you were
Thank
young.
you.
You are young. You are 28 years old. And I have so much tremendous respect for you and your challenging journey through grief and what you have chosen to do with your painful experiences. And I would love for you to share a little bit about your journey. Tell us about you.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel very honored and blessed to do the work that I do. And I am young, but I've had a lot of personal experience with loss despite my age. I'm a sexual abuse survivor. I coped with that abuse through drugs and alcohol, which led to, a lot of demoralization, so to speak. And I ended up getting sober 5 years ago. And, my mother had died during my use as well. So there was a lot of things that were left unsaid and hopes and dreams and expectations for that relationship, which were never met. And so when I got sober, I was suffering from grief in numerous ways, both in relation to death, my mother's death, and other losses outside of death. And so, my own personal journey led me to grief recovery, which is what I take my clients through. I'm an advanced grief recovery specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through it personally and then, transformed so much on an individual level that I wanted to take others through it professionally. And that's my passion in life today.
Oh, my goodness. I just absolutely love, first of all, thank you for sharing, because I feel like in being vulnerable and sharing our stories, our messy stories, we don't have to apologize for our stories. We all have a story. And the more we share, the more I feel we can heal and help others to heal that are going through the same. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. For so long, I carried so many secrets and felt that I was so alone, and really what helped was hearing that it was safe to tell the truth, right? It was okay to be vulnerable and that I wasn't alone, and it's still sometimes scary to be vulnerable, to tell my truth, but you're absolutely right. I know that just by sharing my story, it may help somebody that's, in a similar space that I once was in. So
Yeah.
totally.
Yes. And when we first spoke, and I also share unapologetically that our family, our son Tyler, went down a very dangerous road of drugs and addiction, and he is in a better place. And he has had many friends around him die of an opioid overdose, and some had mental health issues, and it is frightening. And one of the things that we have to do is remove that stigma so that people aren't afraid to reach out for help when they need it, or right. And for others, your village, to be a part of your healing journey. And I think that's important to talk about as well, because I believe we all should have therapy, counseling. The grief recovery method is extraordinary. We all need guidance. And we also need our families, friends, coworkers, neighbors to be a part of our healing journey, even when they don't know what to do or say, and they don't know how to fix it. It's not their job to fix it. But was it important for you along your journey to have other supportive people be there for you?
Oh, absolutely. you know, and I just love that you know, said that and brought up that topic, because, you know, it's really hard to see an addict or an alcoholic
Mm.
from the outside looking in, right? It's self-destructive,
Oh,
they're manipulative, they're dishonest, you know, and being an addict, you know, that once was engaging in that behavior, you know, in that state, it's a state of suffering, right?
mm-hmm.
It is a disease, right? It's the disease of addiction and alcoholism. So it's without blame, but not without responsibility, right?
Mm.
They still are accountable. But you're absolutely right in a sense of when they get sober, you know, they do need that community, right? They do need support, you know, and so 100%, that is indispensable to somebody's sobriety and recovery.
Mm-hmm. And of course, in that messy journey as well, you need people to just show up for you. They just have to have their own boundaries, right? I mean, I had to learn that as a mom, as Tyler was going down this road, and we couldn't stop him, but we needed to support him, but also not at the cost of self-destruction, right? Because when you can't control another person's journey, you can just show up for them, you can be there for them without compromising yourself. And that's also a very challenging part of grief for those around the self-destructive person. There's a tremendous grief in that, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, the familial grief around the addict or the alcoholic, I mean, is, I mean, unbearable at times, right? Because you are essentially grieving the loss of somebody who is there physically, but isn't there. They're not there presently, right? They're
Yes.
absent-minded, or, you know, a more like clinical term would be anticipatory grief, but really you're just grieving the loss of that person. They're no longer showing up for family dinners or, you know, spending time with you, and
You don't trust them.
you don't trust them.
You can't
Yeah, the
trust them.
loss of
Yeah.
trust.
Yeah.
You see the numbers and the statistics of the opioid epidemic,
Oh,
and you wonder if they're going to become one of those numbers, and
terrifying.
terrifying. There's a lot of grief, absolutely. And you're
Yeah.
right in a sense of, you know, you need to learn to walk that line of balance of showing loving support while also taking care of yourself, right? And loving yourself too, right?
It's non-negotiable. It is non-negotiable. It actually, you have to be more intentional with that self-care in that process, right? And not to be consumed by grief or trying to fix. And it's a very challenging road, a very challenging road for loved ones around you. But what I love about us connecting again is the fact that you give me hope, you give others hope for the possibility of what can be. I mean, look at you, you're so cute, and you're helping people, and you're in school, you're teaching people helping people navigate through their own grief, and you are a shining light in this world. And it makes me emotional because I always make somebody cry. I always tell people, you know, these are like real life, like, you know, you're kind of glitchy right now, and that's technology, and I'm probably gonna cry, and that's like, we just have to allow this messy journey, right? We don't have to be airbrushed, we don't have to be perfect. We need to just show up and love and support each other through this. And you are just showing so many people what is possible. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because truly, with young people, like, you know, people in their 20s, if we can create that change where you talk about, accept, understand grief as a part of this journey, and take your painful journey and create passion and purpose, whatever that may be. I don't even care if it's just you go and you create a beautiful garden, right? We don't all have to have big vision and big journeys, but do something you love. We all have value and we matter. And in times of grief, we really need to be there for each other. So, Calista, I want, what is your website? Because I know that you help people through this. And of course, everyone relates to someone different, right? Young people who have been through this would just, it would be so great for them to connect with you. So what is your website?
Yes, if anybody would love to connect with me, I'd just love to speak with them. My website is livingbeyondgrief.net.
Livingbeyondgrief.net. How perfect for National Grief Awareness Day, of course. And if any final words that you'd like to share with anyone who is grieving in crisis or trying to support someone who is.
Yeah, if anybody is struggling or grieving, whatever it is, just find a safe person that they can talk to that will listen to them empathetically and not, say any well-intended statements that end up shutting them down, right? That makes
And
sense.
for those, yes, and for those people, if you are grieving, reach out. And for those who have someone reaching out to them, it's not your job to fix it, just listen. Just
Well
listen,
said.
right? Just open your
Exactly.
heart and just listen. It is not your job to fix it, but you do not need a PhD to love and support people along the way. Just let them know they're not alone, right?
Yeah. Beautiful.
Beautiful, simple, right? Calista, thank you so much for just showing up today. Thank you so much for everything that you do. You are a beautiful, shining light in this world, and I am forever grateful that we have connected.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.